episode 1 of Dealer's Choice, and a big thank you again for all those who subscribed and kept watching, because you do support the show and it does mean an awful lot. Today, kicking off season 2, we have an absolute legend, Mr. Poker Boom himself. Today, it is the Chris Moneymaker Show. Good afternoon, Chris.
How we doing, brother?
Not bad, my friend, not bad. Another day, another dawn, so just got to keep it going. How's life? How's lockdown life been treating you, as it were?
Boring. We invented a game called Furniture Tetris, which is fun. It's my wife's brand new game. I guess I shouldn't use the word fun to describe it. I'm sure there are other people going through what we're going through and doing what we're doing. And my wife has decided that she doesn't like the way the house looks every single day. So we've moved our bedroom around several different times. We've moved coffee table. We moved every piece of furniture in our house, essentially, it feels like. The bedroom specifically 2 or 3 times. So yeah, that's my quarantine time. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. In Scotland or in the UK, it's a little bit different. One minute everybody's in lockdown, the next minute anybody isn't in lockdown. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I mean, I think what it does boil down to, Chris, is common sense with a lot of things. Whether you don't want to wear a mask or do want to wear a mask, just respect other people's decisions. It's there's a lot of inconsistency out there, and I think at the end of the day, we've got to try and look after each other as well as ourselves. So, I mean,
Well, you're right about that. There's a lot of inconsistency. Obviously we don't want to get into a political discussion, but masks are definitely in the U.S. politicized.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a firm stance on it, but whatever. Other people have their firm stance. It's a tough situation. Everything's tough right now. And it doesn't seem like there's consistent data that someone can just look to and say, this works, that works. I mean, I've posted on my social media about my daughter and her trials, and I've gotten 15. By the time I got done putting all these drugs into her system, I got so many different recommendations on things to do and things to try, which everybody's just trying to be helpful. I get it. But,
yeah.
I'm going to listen to what my doctor says. I mean, he's not the best. At this, no one is, but I don't know. I'm trying to listen to Fauci and the CDC and just trying to get through as best we can. And that me actually, before I came on here with you, I was downstairs with my wife, and we were actually having a conversation because today we're supposed to start back school or meet the teacher and start back the school process. And this is something we've been agonizing about for a while now. And, we're trying to make the decision, do we send them back to real school or do we do virtual learning? And, it's not the easiest decision for several different reasons. Again, once I get off this call here, I'm going to go back down and we're going to continue the conversation. Because it has a lot of ramifications, a lot of different ways. But anyways, that's what we're doing, and not as much fun to talk about. So we'll get on to a rosier topic that you want.
Of course. I mean, Godspeed. I do hope that you and the family do get through this, sail the ship Moneymaker through the turbulent times and get back to full health. As you're right, you're a busy man, so we'll kick on with this. What we try and do is we try and look into the real Chris Moneymaker. Where you were before, where you are now, what the future looks to hold in the poker world, and just basically a little bit about this is the life of Chris Moneymaker. So you were born 1975 to mother and father, Vicky and Mike, and you were the oldest of 3, Jeff and little sister Brandy. Born in Atlanta, and you grew up basically in Tennessee?
Yep, grew up in Knoxville, just in East Tennessee.
Okay, and what was it like growing up in Knoxville for the people that don't know anything about it? Was it tough or?
No, it was, I mean, honestly, kind of privileged would be the word I would describe. I mean, we lived in a nice house in a nice neighborhood. Always felt safe. I mean, I was out in the neighborhood with kids, friends, whatever, till basically the lights came on at night. So we were riding our bikes or playing football or goofing off in the neighborhood till 10 o'clock at night, whenever we wanted. It wasn't the same as it is today
Yeah,
where, I mean, we're afraid to let your kid walk down the street, and social media has everybody kind of freaked out. I mean, literally, we ran the neighborhood. We did anything we wanted. There was no crime. There was no, I mean, um, it felt very safe. Maybe we were, ignorance is bliss. I don't know, but no, it was a very nice, fun, good upbringing, and it was a simpler time. The internet didn't even exist. It's crazy. Um, we had phones we didn't have cell phones. We had beepers. We had phones on a wall that connected with a cord that you picked up and you did this with. I know I'm showing my age a little bit, but yeah, again, it was a different time. Honestly, with all the simplicities and everything that we have now, I actually like that time when
yeah,
things weren't so connected, and um, you didn't hear about, it is good to hear all the information, but like with this virus, not to revert back to it, there's so much information out there, it's hard to sift through it all.
yeah.
Back when I was younger, you watched the nightly news, and that was literally all there wasn't, it was, you had the newspaper or you watched the news. But it was a good upbringing, very, very nice. Played sports growing up, and uh, just hung out with friends and did stuff in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you say, I think the internet has a lot of pros and it does have a lot of cons because, I mean, when I was younger, I'm not that far off you age-wise, Chris, so we'll beat around that bush another time. But if you wanted to get your friends out to play or play football, soccer, whatever, you went round to their house, you knocked on their door, and is blah blah blah, is he coming out to play? Nowadays, it's beep 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 beep, and that's it. It's a different world, and I think the internet has a lot to answer for. There's a lot of mixed signals out there with a lot of things, but it does have its benefits, which we'll come to later on with yourself. But growing up in that area, you went to university and you graduated with a master's degree in accountancy. Now, what what gave you the frame of mind to go into accountancy? What was your interest in that?
I wouldn't call it an interest. It was, I, I, I want to say I was lied to, but I was kind of lied to. I was told that, when you go into accounting, you make a lot of money. I mean, you can rise up and, do really well for yourself. And honestly, if I'm paying all this money, or my parents are paying all this money for me to go to school, I want to go to an education where I can, the whole point in uh, going and working and finding a job is either one, do what you love, or
Uh-huh.
two, do what you can make a lot of money doing. So one, I didn't really love anything. It's like nothing really like, okay, I just want to be an architect, or I want to be an engineer. This is what I want to do. So it was really, okay, what can I do to make money? And accounting came easy to me. It was something that just sort of clicked. So it's not something I had to work hard at. Um, and I'm told that you can make a lot of money. For you that don't know, future accountants out there, you can make a lot of money 10 to 15 years down the line. The first 10 or
Okay.
15 years, it really sucks. You're going to make 40 to 50,000 a year, and you're going to be a slave to um, the working hours of whatever corporation you're with. Generally, they're going to keep you for, I was working 80-hour weeks. It was very intense, and I wouldn't say hard. It was just time consuming. They kept you at the office for a very long period of time. But I got into it because I thought that I was gonna make a lot of money, essentially.
So the interest came from the dollar signs as opposed to the enjoyment. But yeah, I think a lot of jobs are like that
Anybody,
nowadays.
any person ever that tells you that they got into accounting because they love it, they're lying to you. No one loves accounting. I know
Yeah.
a lot of accountants, and I promise you, every one of them is financially driven to be in that profession, because
Yeah.
there's nothing fun about learning tax code or anything that has to do with accounting.
So I mean, the the not the fascination, but the enjoyment of poker. How did you get into that at an early age? Did the family play like nickel and dime games, or?
Never even knew what poker was growing up. I mean, we played bridge growing up. That was kind of our house game. I played with my grandmother. She always needed a partner, so we played bridge. My dad played blackjack, and he taught me how to play blackjack early on. And I always wanted to be in a casino playing blackjack. That's what I wanted to grow up and kind of do as my hobby. So I see him doing it, and he always won. He would never lose, according to him. Obviously, as I got older and I got into the casino and I started seeing how the realization of things, I realized that wasn't the thing. But growing up, when he told my mom and us, he won every single session, every single time. It was it kind of glamorized it more than it probably should have. And, it actually struck a chord with me to where I utilize that today with my kids and try to show them the downsides of poker and not just, hey, we shipped this tournament and we made a lot of money. No, we, played all day and we lost money. I mean, I think you need to have that balance. And I learned that the wrong way, I guess, because I went and started playing blackjack and realized pretty quickly you can't just go in there and print money. But I liked being in the atmosphere and I like being in casinos. I would leave broke quite a bit. So the movie Rounders came out and they did have a poker room in Tunica. And so I started going down there, and instead of playing blackjack, I started playing in the poker room. And I found that I could sit there all day, play poker, make a little bit of money, and be in that environment and having a good time, talking with people and just enjoying myself and not leave broke. And that was obviously pretty ideal.
Yeah.
Back in those days, there was no such thing as no limit Texas Hold'em, though. We played limit Texas Hold'em. That was the only thing that they spread. And there's no check raising allowed. It was written on the wall, checking and raising is not allowed. So the game was very, very different back then. And the players, I would say the average age of the players was probably in their 60s. So me being a 20-year-old guy in there was kind of an anomaly. There were a few of us scattered throughout, but that's when I started kind of playing.
Yeah, so I mean, you got into it through the film Rounders, like I think a lot of people can relate to. Was it cash games or tournaments back then, or was it a mixture of both, Chris?
There were no tournaments.
Okay.
There were no daily tournaments. You couldn't go to a casino and just find a tournament like you can now, or before the virus. Tournaments happened very sparsely, and they were usually higher buy-ins. Even when I won the main event, I didn't play another tournament for like 6 months because just tournaments were not that offered that often. And that's what a lot of people don't realize about poker and that play today is all the things that you can do today weren't available back in 03 or you couldn't go play a daily tournament. You couldn't go play no limit cash. There wasn't online poker really. I mean, it's all we have now. You didn't have, so it was just a different time.
I think it's evolved quite a lot. A lot of people would put that down to yourself. But you've probably never heard that before.
First time, it's always good to hear it.
How did you find out about the WSOP? How did you find out about online poker?
So I was in Tunica playing the limit game, and I'm sitting in the room, and I developed friendships over time with the guys in the room, and so a guy was talking to him, and he's like, "Have you heard of online poker?" And I was like, "Yeah, no idea what that is," and that doesn't seem like something I would want to be involved in. Seems shady, yada yada. He's like, "No, man, give it a shot. It's not bad. It's small stakes, but it's something you can do. You don't have to drive." I was driving 4 hours to go play in Tunica, and so he told me to get on Pokerstars and check it out. That's where he played. So I went on and checked it out. It was a really small site back then, like really small. The the big game, like the top end players were playing like 2-5 no limit. And the most of the games were limit. Tournaments were, scattered throughout the day, but they were all like $10, $20.
Yeah.
They did have a weekend tournament that was 200. That was the high roller tournament. And I think it was called the Sunday 50 grand at one point, and then it went 100 grand. It's the Sunday Million now.
Yeah.
I think it's always been 215, and it's always been at the same time, but it's just grown throughout the years. But anyways, so I started playing online, and I realized that specifically in the sit and goes, people were so bad that literally back then, if you registered for a sit and go and you sat out the first 3 rounds, you would be down to the money almost already, because people would just, it was insane. It was printing money. So I like playing sit and goes. The problem with sit and goes back then is they just didn't go off very often. The player, obviously poker, you got to have a player pool. You got to have an active player base. And Pokerstars at that time was a growing company and just didn't have the traffic. So sit and goes didn't go off as often. So I would generally sit there and I would be doing my accounting work or whatever there is, and waiting for a sit and go to fill maybe. And I would play limit hold'em online. So the World Series came around. Robert Vacconi, I watched on TV. That was the first year I watched it. It was the year before. I remember Phil Hellmuth shaving his head because Varconi won.
Yeah.
And he was, like a big amateur that won. But the problem is he went to MIT, so it's hard to relate to him, I guess. But anyways, that's how I found out about the World Series. And I got into the World Series by mistake because, again, I'm just playing sit and goes mostly. And since they were so rare, I would just jump in one when I saw that they were about ready to fill. Well, again, back in the old days on Pokerstars, the lobby is not like it is today, where it's nice and laid out. You can tell satellites, tournaments, sit and go. Well, it's easy to navigate through and find what you're looking for. Back then, it was basically a hodgepodge of tournaments just listed out, and you couldn't tell if it was a satellite, a cash. First of all, satellites didn't happen very often. Like, this was the first time I'd ever seen a satellite. I didn't even know what a satellite was. No, I mean, I doubt many people knew what a satellite was. Again, you're talking about old school. Like, when I got into it and I was looking at it, I'm like, what the hell am I playing? I don't get no money for this. I'm getting a seat to a $600 tournament. What the hell? And, I got to realize a $600 tournament back then for me was just insane. That was, I would have to win money in the limit cash games, have a good week to go play the 215.
Yeah. So
for me to play a $600 tournament, dude, that was huge. I mean, that was big time. So anyways, I won a seat to the $615 tournament. And during that tournament, they were giving away 3 seats to the main event. And fourth place was $8,000 in cash. And I did everything I could to get fourth place. I didn't care about the World Series. I did not want a seat. I wanted fourth place. I wanted $8,000 in cash. At that time, I had about $8,000 in credit card debt, and that would pair it up nicely to take care of that situation. So that was my goal, fourth place. Take the money.
And you didn't get fourth place. You qualified. Now, was it seat only?
It was seat. You could not sell your seat. So they gave you a seat, and they gave you $1,000 to get out there, I believe. I think it was $1,100 package. And the reason I didn't get fourth, and I owe it to this guy to this day, not many people know him, is by the game, I'll never forget the name because we were arguing back and forth by the name of Got Milk. Got Milk wanted fourth place too. And we were negotiating, trying to both work to where we can get fourth place with 5 people left. And I had the most chips, and I was like, listen, just give me fourth. Y'all take the seats. And, he's like, no, I want fourth. And, it was a back and forth thing. And my buddy's sitting on the sideline watching this. He's on his home computer watching the negotiations going on in the chat box. And he calls me up. He's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm trying to get $8,000. What do you mean? What am I doing? if I win this, I get a seat to the World Series of Poker, and I can't sell it. I can't do anything with it other than play. And I'm not going to go out and play against Johnny Chan and Doyle Brunson and Phil Hellmuth, the only 3 players that I knew by name in the world at that time. I said, that's just ridiculous. Why would I do that? I mean, it makes no sense. And so, yeah, he's like, well, listen, I'll give you $5,000, take the seat, and we'll go halves.
Sure.
Like, all right, cool. So that's what I ended up doing, and ended up winning the seat. The next week, my buddy went down to Tunica and blew all his money and lost the $5,000 that he had to give me, and kind of left me high and dry, which, actually ended up being okay for me. But,
well, yeah.
but sucked a little bit for him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's not we don't like to hear those sort of bad beat stories in any walk of life, I suppose. But
he ended up all right, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you won the seat, and you then have got now to focus, to realign your focus to this tournament. Now, it's been highly publicised that your father was there. Your father was railing throughout. On the lead up to the World Series, because it's obviously the biggest tournament for a lot of people. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is the first high-profile tournament of any sort of knowledge that you ever played in, never mind cash. What training did you do? Yeah, that's what I mean. Did you do any training at all? Did you read any books, watch any internet stuff? Or?
There was no internet stuff. I mean, literally, there was no, you couldn't go study. I mean, I got Super System, which was, and Mike Carra's Book of Tells. I think those are the only 2 books out there. There was just no resources to learn how to play. And the only thing I did is I went out 4 days early and went and played sit and goes out there to try and work on any physical tells I might have. And that was my whole training for the World Series of Poker. I won the seat about 2 weeks before the actual tournament. So it didn't give me a ton of time to prepare. And again, the resources weren't there. I mean, you didn't have all the training stuff that I'm using right now as I'm sitting here in quarantine. I've been deep in the lab trying to improve my game and trying to get better, but didn't have that stuff back then.
You just basically had to read a couple of books and do your own homework, as it were, at the table, live and ready, so to speak.
Yeah, well, the good thing is back then, no one else had the information either.
Sure.
So the majority of people played just really bad. And by today's standard, we all play. Every single person from that time plays bad. If you would play the same way back then as today, you're a bad player. You're considered a bad player, essentially, because the game's evolved so much. And it comes from everything from playing ranges, bet sizings. I mean, everything that you could ever think about poker is different now than it was back then. We didn't think in the term of ranges. We thought in the term of assigning specific hands. Almost every raise, whether it be short stack, deep stack, didn't matter, was always like a 3 to 4x, 5x raises. 3 bets were very infrequent, and if they did 3 bet, it was almost always jacks plus, ace king, ace queen. I mean, it was really turning your hand. No, there was no exploitive play, too much. I mean, obviously you would get one every once in a while, but it wasn't like there today where, I mean, if you play anywhere, you're getting 3 bet every other hand by somebody, or you're 3 betting yourself and you have to 4 bet. And it's completely different. It's a different game altogether. So me not having all the materials to learn how to play wasn't so detrimental because the field wasn't so good either.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started playing, it was due to watching, I don't know if you ever got it in America, Late Night Poker with Jesse May and stuff like that. No?
I know I've seen it after the fact, but no, we didn't have that before.
Yeah. And I found out that a 4 bet was mainly aces, a 3 bet was kings plus, and nowadays a 4 bet could be deuce 5, or a 5 bet could be anything. And it's just, as you said, poker has evolved massively. But back in those days, do you think it was a benefit to yourself that you only really knew Phil Hellmuth, Doyle Brunson, Johnny Chan, and to some extent Robert Varconi because he won it the year before? Do you think that was good, that you didn't know anybody?
Well, it's kind of like we talked about with me growing up. Ignorance is bliss. I mean, not knowing things I didn't know. Yeah, obviously, I didn't fear Phil Ivey. He was at my table for a long time. I didn't know who Phil Ivey was, so I didn't have anything to fear. If I had known what I know now, then yeah, I'm probably not going to just try to battle Phil Ivey like I did. I mean, that wasn't exactly the smartest play, but I mean, honestly, I saw a young kid, same age as me, and he had a lot of chips. I had a lot of chips. I wasn't gonna be afraid of him. I mean, why is he better than me?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
turns out he just is better than me. But at the time, I thought, no one else has the information, and I don't either. So fuck him. I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna attack him. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
not be afraid to play with people and mix it up. Um, and and actually that mentality came after busting Johnny Chan. In the beginning, I thought everybody was better than me. I thought, I was the worst player there. Um, these are all pros, and I'm just a guy randomly playing on the internet. You got to realize back then too, I was wearing a Pokerstars patch.
Yes.
There's 839 people in the tournament, and I would say probably 200 of them were wearing some kind of online moniker that was basically a walking billboard that you sucked. Because every single person that played poker back then thought the internet players were the worst players on the planet. We played checkers and they played chess, because poker is a staring at your opponent game and reading your opponent's soul, and you can't do that when you're playing online. So you're really a second class citizen. You're not even a poker player if you're coming from online. And a target on my head that people would attack me just because I was wearing a Pokerstars patch. Because again, they thought I was a terrible player, which probably was accurate back then, but they were too. But again, yeah, we just got no respect online. It's funny how, today the online players are considered the better players,
Yeah.
or the crushers. And but back then, yeah, no, we were horrible players. Like, we don't even play poker.
So the Pokerstars patches, you had the cap, the T-shirt, and stuff. Did you get that because you qualified? Was that part of the package, the deal, that you had to wear that stuff?
Yep, it was. Anybody that's been to a PokerStars event in the last decade, you go and they have goodie bags. They have, just an amazing setup. That just going to a PokerStars event is a really cool. I mean, you're a dealer for NEPT. You see
Yeah.
how the production quality, everything is just top notch. Um, in 2003, it wasn't so much that. So I get out to Vegas. There's no one to greet me. They tell me to go to Binion's and show up at Binion's. I get there. No one's there to greet me. There's no sign that says Pokerstars, or it's basically this guy, Rich Corbin and Dan Goldman, in a hotel room with 16 bags. There's 16 players that won seats to the main event in 03. And we did have our name inscribed on a jacket,
Yes.
which was nice. But everything else was, here's your bag, good luck. And you walk. I walked into their hotel room and said, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Chris Moneymaker." And they're, "No, what's your name?" They had to go through a whole stick or whatever. And then they gave me my bag, and probably laughed at me and told me, "Hey, good luck, kid. You're dead." But that was it. It was two guys in a hotel room handing out a black bag with shirts and hats and a jacket in there. It's not what you see now, where there's information desks and helping and, transfers to the plays with signage and, all the technologies
Yeah.
that we have. It was literally the most backwoods of backwoods place. And to top it all off, we're in Binion's. And if you've been in Binion's, you know what I'm talking about. It's not the most glamorous place. So, yeah, it was definitely, again, completely different than what
Yeah,
the
well, it's now it's
normal poker
evolved.
player. Yes, it's completely different than what people are used to now.
Yeah, I mean, for your first poker tournament, it had to have been a massively eye-opening experience because long days, long levels. I think back then it was you got a dollar chip for every dollar entry fee because it was 10K for 10K. I know it has
Yep.
changed recently, and every year it does. They look at it to try and get more value for people. But in that aspect, do you feel that it was a drain. Was it a drain on yourself?
27 years old. I still wasn't in terrible shape yet. I was starting to go that way, but I wasn't there yet. Um, so at the end of the day, it wasn't near as bad of a drain for me as it was for other players. I mean, you got to remember too, if you go to a poker tournament now, the average age is probably going to be around 24, 25. Back then, the average age was 50 something. I mean, I was one of the young guys in the room. I mean, I went from being a young gun to an old guy real fast in this game. But back then, it wasn't a drain for me. I was 27 years old, and I was literally probably 30 years younger than the average player.
Yeah.
So they were all drained, and I was, sort of hopped up on Red Bull and water, good diet back and forth. So no, I mean, and honestly, I had been playing online, so all my experience was playing shower. I got 10,000 in chips. I've never had 10,000 chips. That's a lot of chips
Yeah.
with 2 hour blind levels. That's forever to sit there and fold. It's just, and that's what I did. I folded and folded and folded and just waited for premiums. And that tournament allows you to do so.
Sure.
So kind of what I did. I just flopped sets and cracked over pairs, and then my over pairs held up. And if you do that, you can win poker tournaments. That's the key to winning poker tournaments.
Run well, yeah. Flip
Yeah,
better, run
good.
well. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Now, I mean, approaching like money bubbles and stuff like that, was getting into the money back then a massive thing for you? Was that like right, that's what I've got to aspire to? Or
Making it through day one was my goal. I mean, that was a massive thing. Just making no money, making it through the day, proving that I could make it through the day was huge. Every day I made it through the day was a huge day for me. And the funny thing is, when we got to the money bubble, I actually abused the money bubble without even knowing I was doing it, because I was a big stack and no one else on my table had any chips. And first, the cash was like 17,000. So I just started raising about every hand and just doing some crazy stuff, and everybody just kept folding. I'm like, wow, this is pretty easy. Maybe a little bit ahead of my time on that, just abusing the bubble when it wasn't really a thing, but I just did it instinctively because I had a big stack and they didn't. And I just saw that everybody wanted to make the money, so I just raised a lot. I was like, wow, this is getting pretty easy.
I mean, obviously, as you say, it might have played into your hands with being an aggressive player at the time, having the hands, having the chips and stuff. You got yourself into the money. Was it just your father that was there with you, Chris, throughout that tournament?
No, I had the guy that originally bought 5,000 and lost it. He was there with me, and then a guy that I'd sold another 20% to had showed up. And my dad actually came out for the first like 3 days and then went home and left, and basically said, if you make it past the next couple of days, I'll come back out. But he couldn't miss work for a whole week just to come and sit in the stands. So he actually went home for 2 days, where the other two guys kind of were like me, kind of a slacker. They could just miss work, whatever, and not really care. So they were out there the whole time with me. But my dad was in and out just from that one trip. But no, it was nice. I had a little rooting crew there, and it was nice to have and experience that with them.
I mean, did you, in between hands, did you come away from the table and speak to your father or your friends, get a bit of advice, talk about hands, or did you just not want to involve them? You wanted to focus and play your own game?
None of them knew how to play poker, so it was gonna be hard to ask them for advice. They didn't know anything about. I mean, Bruce, the guy that wanted to buy the piece originally, he knew a little bit, but the other two had literally no clue. My dad he couldn't tell you, a pair beat a straight or any, so. No, I never taught, and honestly, I was so in the zone, I just never really got up during play. First of all, I didn't realize. Again, day 2 of the poker tournament, I actually overslept, and
Oh.
I thought I was disqualified from the tournament. Because I showed up, the tournament started at noon, and I got there like 12:15. So I thought, oh my God, they're going to kick me out of the tournament. I didn't show up on time. You don't show up for your job, you're fired. So
Yeah.
you don't show up. So I came in frantic. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm late. What do I need to do? Your seat's right over there, sir. I'm like, oh, I can just go play there. Yeah, it looked like I'm some idiot. But yeah, I was nervous. I really thought that they had picked up my stack or something because I didn't show up on time for day two. Maybe they think I wasn't going to show or I wasn't going to be there. So pick up and take it out of play. I didn't know. Again, first live tournament.
Yeah.
Idiot for sleeping in. I was so amped up from the first night making it through that I just slept too long.
Yeah. And for an amateur, as you refer to yourself, you've done pretty well leading up to obviously winning it. But from what I've seen, from what I've heard in reports, the day-to-day reports on the WSOP television, they, I think people write you off and put you down quite a lot as, oh, he's an amateur, he's this, he's that, he's this. And nobody really gave you the credit that you deserved. And did you know that stuff like that was getting said about you as the days went on? Did you know that people, oh, he's just an amateur, he'll fall by the wayside?
Of course. I mean, I wasn't oblivious to it, but at the same time, I really didn't care. That's the one thing I've always had was one, a very good support system, and two, a very thick skin.
Yeah.
I use comedy to sort of throw off any kind of insecurities I might have. But at the same time, I'm pretty confident in myself and I'm confident in who I am. So even though I heard all the stuff, I didn't really care. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I accomplished an amazing thing, and I did a lot of that on my own without anybody. No one was there to help me, or there was no one offering me advice or telling me anything. It was all me. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
Again, I did that by myself. It's not
Well,
like it was a team sport. The team carried me. No, it was out there by myself. I'm battling the guys. So I knew what I did. I didn't have anything to prove, and I
yeah.
still don't have anything to prove. The problem for me is the second tournament I played, I get second in a WPT event.
Yes.
So by this time, now I just think I'm just good. I'm just, I don't need to study poker. Every tournament I play, I'm going to get first, second, whatever. And then, obviously reality starts to hit and you lose 10, 15, 20 tournaments in a row. And unfortunately for me, like anything in gambling, you don't want to start off on too much of a heater because you think that you're invincible. You don't need to improve. So for me personally, I would say there was about a 6 or 7 year period to where I didn't study any poker.
Okay.
Now, what you got to remember is from 03 to probably 2010, everybody's starting to play the game. It's massive. The game's booming. I'm kind of just relaxing and chilling and just having a good time in life. I mean, I'm with Pokerstars. We're doing things. We're having fun. I don't want to go out and grind poker tournaments. So I play one or two events during the World Series. I mean, I probably play a total of 20 events over the next 6 or 7 years. And every time I go out, I'm losing with aces and kings and so I'm not thinking that I'm playing bad. I'm just getting unlucky.
Uh-huh.
I'm running bad. Variance or whatever is caught back up with me, and I'm just running bad. I don't need to study. I don't need to get better. It's just people are getting lucky right now against me, and it'll turn.
Of course.
So unfortunately, that was my mentality for several years. That I had the game figured out. I didn't need to study, and when I was running bad, it was just unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until many years later that when I was playing online against a really accomplished player, I started realizing that maybe I suck and need to start getting better because the game had passed me by and, results weren't coming like they should after, yeah, again, you can go through 20, 50, 100 tournaments and just brick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's tournament poker. Anybody knows that. But I wasn't making decisions that were putting me in positions to win. And I saw what other people were doing and it didn't make sense to me. The whole 3 betting light, 4 betting, 5 betting. I'm pretty sure it was Sean Deeb. I don't know who it was, but it was a really good player. It could have been Chris Moorman, but there was one of the top ranked players at the time online. I'll never forget the hand that I got in with them. It was one of the top guy players where we got in a 5-bet pot and I had ace king in a like a W coup or scoop or whatever it was. It was a long time ago, but we got to a 5-bet pot and they shoved on the 5th bet and I had ace king and called, and they had queen 5, and I ended up winning the hand. And normally I would have just like, what a freaking idiot, the guy just punted his whole stack. We were both pretty deep, just gave me his whole stack with queen 5. Guy had no idea what he's doing. But in this situation, I actually know for a fact this guy's like one of the top players in the world right now. He's very accomplished. So it was a wake-up call for me in the fact that if he's doing that, people take shots at me all the time. They always want to beat me, but this guy wasn't doing that. This guy was trying to outplay me.
Yes.
And he was making a plus EV play, which I didn't even know what that meant, with queen 5. And I had to go find out why. I didn't know why. Why would you do that? Why would you throw your tournament life away with queen 5 for no reason in the middle of a tournament? Just punt it. I could not wrap my head around this concept of punting my chips, even though had developed a pretty good habit of doing it. I couldn't grasp doing it with such a poor hand. I like to punt with like ace 7 or ace 8, at least something respectable. But anyway, I digress. So that it really woke me up to the fact that I need to find out why he did this and what am I missing. And that was kind of what got me started on working on my game and trying to improve. And results started to show after that. I mean, once it started to happen.
Yeah, I mean, leading up to getting into after you won the main event, there is quite a few notable results that we have here. I'll just quickly go back to when you won the main. You beat people like Humberto Brenes. This is the people that are highlighted. Johnny Chan, Sammy Farha obviously heads up. The famous Phil Ivey hand with the 9s versus Ace Queen. Was there going along those every day, every player getting knocked out? Did you think at one point, I can't do any wrong here? I can't. And then there was the famous bluff, the King 7 Queen 9 hand against Sammy Farha as well. Did you think, I've got my name written on this bracelet, as it were? I can't, it's my year.
I felt like things were going the right way. And again, for the first year of my poker career, not playing a lot of no limit, playing limit hold'em, and playing just a few tournaments, I'd never really taken a bad beat. So, I ran really good, and that's why I got first and second. I thought I was playing well, when in reality, I was playing well, don't get me wrong, but I was running really, really pure. So I felt like I couldn't do anything wrong. I felt like every move I did was going to be right. I felt like every decision I made was going to be right. I was in the zone, but I was also playing well. So, I felt like it was going to be – after I busted Johnny Chan, I felt like I had a good shot. And then when I beat Dutch Boyd with the pair of 3s, I made the big call with the pair of 3s, 13 left. I felt like I had a good shot to win.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. We had Matt Savage on, who was a tournament director and card caller a few episodes ago, and he says that there was one hand that he can always remember when you said raise, the Queen 9 King 7 hand, and you put out the 300,000, I think it was, and he announced call, and you went, no, it's a raise. And he says that he might have been responsible for that going the wrong way if it was a call. But as you say, everything happens for a reason. You won the tournament. Now, when you win the hand, the 5-4 versus Jack 10, all this emotion comes out. You see your father hugging. You've made it. You've done it. The Moneymaker effect then happens. You've spoke about it so many times. On the flip side of that, what was it like constantly having people phone you, ask for your autograph, the media, the fame, everything just going? Because I'm assuming you weren't used to that prior to this.
Of course I was. I mean, look at me. I'm a model. I mean, people flock to me all the time.
You and
Nah,
me
man,
both. You and me both.
yeah, exactly. You got the looks too. I
I've got
mean,
the
yeah.
face
So
for radio, Chris.
yeah, me too. You understand? People just come and flock at you for no reason. They just want your picture. Um, I was an accountant, like I said, and an accountant by trade are more hermits. We sit in our front of our computers, do our work, and um, so I was more of a wallflower type. I wasn't the guy to go out and seek attention. I wasn't the guy to do public speaking. I wasn't the guy to do interviews. That was not me, and it never. So yeah, I had to change my phone number because I did come home to hundreds of calls asking for money for multitudes of reasons. But the weird thing to me was the fans. That was, well, the troubling thing to me was the public speaking. Like, they told me I was going on David Letterman, and I told them they were crazy. There's no way you're going on 2020. There's no way. I'm not doing these things because I can't public speak. I would
Yeah.
literally, like, just doing me and you doing this, I would have had fits in the past because I know someone would be watching this later, and that would literally give me butterflies and like make me sick. So to do public speaking, going and doing these interviews was not going to happen. That was the bad part of everything. The fans were great. I mean, it was awesome having fans that knew who you were and want to get autographs, pictures, all that stuff. And to this day, I mean, I'm not going to be where I'm at without the fans. So I appreciate it. And every time I get a piece of mail, I mean, I got one covered up right. Well, I'm not going to put my address out there, but I get a piece of mail from a fan. I sign it and send it back. And because I appreciate everything that they basically let me do with my life. Again, without them, I might be an accountant still. I don't know. Who knows?
Because you had to give up the accountancy after that because it was too much?
I didn't have to. I went back to work for 8 months. It wasn't until I got second in the next tournament I played where my boss, who was actually just a real good friend of mine by this point, came in and said, "If you don't quit, I'm going to fire you. You don't need to be here." I was making about $45,000 a year. But yeah, understand, I had a great job. I mean, I was a controller for a restaurant group. We managed 3 restaurants. I came to work whenever I wanted, which usually meant coming in around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I could play online poker during the day. I could do whatever I want during the day. I had 4 people working under me that would do all the work and then give it up to me, and I would just basically check it and make sure that all the taxes got paid, all the payroll got done. So basically on Friday, I had to do a lot of work, paying all the payroll and doing all, filing all the taxes and everything like that. And then I had to prepare for a meeting once a week on the financial status of the company. It was all trivial work, to be honest. I would show up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, start drinking at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because we're above a restaurant. The restaurant would open. I'd go down to the bar, get free drinks, and I would just sit up in my office drinking all day. The owner of the restaurant would come in and sit there and drink with me. I mean, you don't want to leave that job. It's a pretty good job.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, so it wasn't exactly the easiest decision just to walk away from that. So I was happy. I mean, I had a really good job. I mean, again, when I just show up when I want to, and I told the people that worked under me, I said, I'm not going to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't expect you to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. As long as your work's done, I don't care if you work at 2 in the morning to 6 in the morning or whatever you want to do. They were all older ladies with kids. And so they really appreciated the fact that they could come in after school and do their work. They loved working for me because I was so lax. As long as they got their work done, which they were really professional and they did, I didn't care what they did and when it got done. As long as it was done by the end of the day, I don't care.
So you were a good boss, basically, yeah.
I was an awesome boss. Yeah, I would love to have me as a boss. Well, first of all, I'm not going to expect someone to show. I mean, that's one thing. I worked for Deloitte & Touche back in the day, which is a huge accounting firm, and I worked for Arthur Andersen, another huge accounting firm. 7 o'clock in the morning, you got to be at your desk, ready to go, ready to work. And there were so many days after tax season, especially when I was a tax accountant. I can't tell you, on April 16th through April 30th, sitting at my desk,
Yeah.
literally with nothing to do. You couldn't surf the web because they frowned upon that. So you had to just make up crap to do. And it was so frustrating to me that I would have to sit there just to show appearance that I was working, knowing that I'm not doing a damn thing. They know
Yeah.
I'm not doing a damn thing, but I have to be sitting there studying accounting mumbo jumbo or doing something just to fit in the corporate veil of whatever they're trying to do. And that just, I said, if I ever have any kind of power to where I can make my own schedule, yeah, fuck that. Come do your work, get it done, get out, go live your life. Don't be stuck in a cubicle just sitting there.
Yeah. I think a happy environment is a profitable environment in a lot of cases. I can relate to that with the poker job with the dealers. I try and organise staff parties at the end of almost every EPT if we can, and it's good for the camaraderie because you know yourself if a dealer sits down and it's a happy, bubbly dealer and the deals the cards getting done, it kind of can it can transmit on both parts. So I can relate to what you're saying because there's nothing worse than sitting down at a table and the whole table's like, and the dealer comes and goes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and only one or two people say hi back. And I know I've dealt to yourself. I know you're one of the ones that does give back, which is always appreciated by it. I know myself and a shitload of other dealers, so it's always good. But I think as you say, to be your own boss, it's good to allow your employees that little bit of extra life to be in a happy environment. And it shows more about yourself and your character as well, Chris. Other results after this, your main event, obviously 2.5. You also came second in the WPT Bay 101 event. That same year, you were close to another final table, the PLO at the WSOP. And then in between that and the other big result you had against Eric Seidel in the Heads Up, you released a book. What was the thinking behind that? Was that your idea or was that somebody else's idea with the book?
It was someone else's idea, and it was a terrible idea. And I probably got paid 35 cents for that book in total. I made no money. It was a terrible deal. It was the first deal I ever did.
Okay.
I'm happy with the book, but I didn't sign it. Again, this was all new to me. My agent at the time represented a local. There was no such thing as a poker agent back then. So my agent at the time, he represented like local bands. He would book them for gigs. So he got me like $1,000 signing bonus for a book, and that's basically all the money I saw for the book.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fun project. I would never want to do it again, but yeah, it's a good read. It's quick. I mean, it's more of an autobiography than anything else. You're not going to find much. If you're looking for strategy, I wouldn't buy that book. if you can even find where to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, still, a lot of poker players go into these sort of ventures as well. Some are more successful than others, as you say. But one of the more successful things, as far as I'm aware, you're one of the most longest serving pros for Pokerstars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
which
been there
must be a
long
privilege.
time.
Yeah, it must be a privilege as well. Probably the biggest online company in the world, live events, poker events, what have you. Now, you've played EPTs, you've done the Moneymaker tour for the PSPC. You are very active on Twitter. You talk to all the fans, you try and make time, you have a good laugh and a joke with people like Spraggy and stuff like that. Now, when the idea for the PSP, the road to the PSPC came up, the Moneymaker tour, did you sign up for that and go, yes, I'm going to enjoy this because I'm going to go to places where I've never been before? And your kind of personality interacting with the fans was a massive thing. Did you enjoy these tours?
Of course, I was a big integral part in getting the tours going. I mean, they came to us as ambassadors years ago, and they said, we're going to give each of you a platinum pass to give away to your fans. And we want your input on how you would like to do that. So that's where you got all these different ideas, whether it be, the challenge from Staples and like, I can't remember all the different ways they were giving passes away, but my idea was to have $86 poker tournaments. And my, again, I was getting one pass. So my idea was to go and grassroots, go out to these poker rooms, hold these $86 tournaments. And if you won the tournament, we would fly you to the Bahamas or some EPT event or some kind of a Pokerstars event, NAPT, whatever it might have been at the time. And we take all the winners and we play down to one pass.
Yeah.
And that person gets the pass. So basically for your $86, you're going to get first place prize money plus plane ticket and entry into this tournament / sit and go, because we're probably going to do like 12 stops. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than a sit and go. It's kind of what we had more or less drawn out originally. And then the higher ups at Pokerstars, I guess, got a look at the idea and they loved it and decided, well, instead of just doing one pass, we'll just give a pass at every single stop. We'll make every single stop a unique Platinum Pass experience. And it was a great way to, in the first year, give players in the United States who are not able to play online a chance to win these Platinum Passes. And that was another big reason I wanted to do the Moneymaker Tours, to give people that didn't have access to playing online poker ability to win this, a chance to win it in the seat and have life-changing, altering money and satellite their way in. So it was a huge success the first year. We did all American stops and it was amazing. So going on to 2020, our plan was, we started in 2019. We did a lot of stops in the UK. We were planning on taking this more international, and we were going to have some American stops, but it was going to have a much more international feel to it. And things were going great. And then, we had a virus hit and we had to shut everything down. So, I know the PSPC, there was an announcement made that it was being delayed. And to my knowledge, I don't think they've reset the date yet. But I'm sure once, hopefully, we somehow all can as a group figure out this thing, they're going to re-announce the date. We'll get back going on the Moneymaker Tour. We'll get back out there. We'll play some $86 tournaments and give away some more of these life-changing passes. Because, I mean, honestly, I got the privilege to give about 15 of these, 15 away of these now. And just giving the pass away that's worth $30,000.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many grown men cried getting these passes. And probably one of the best feelings that you can have in your life is giving something to somebody that makes them so happy they cry.
Yeah.
And I got to experience that at least on 5 occasions. One of the best was with this guy, Damon, who was from Miami, who was a cancer survivor, been, working with Pokerstars in some charity capacity. And he was kind of voted on to get one of these passes. And I was able, we had set it up as an interview. I was just basically doing an interview for him. I was just going to be the interviewer. But the plan was we're going to at the end of it, give him a pass, a Platinum Pass. But we had set him up, told him that, we're just going to interview you. And, I said, I want you to come down to the Bahamas and experience it, do some reporting from down there. And just, that was kind of the gig. We were just going to, say we wanted to be a reporter and support it.
Yeah.
And he didn't know he was going to get the pass. So I gave him the pass, and literally, he broke down into tears. It was a really, if you watch that, I'm like over here tearing up during it because it was so emotional. It was cool. It was fun. And I can't wait to go back and start doing that again, because it just brightens your day when you can know that you're giving someone an opportunity.
Yeah, it's like changing lives, as it were. Giving the people the shot that you kind of got back in the day to change their own life for the better. And I think it was well done by Pokerstars for supporting your idea and obviously going above and beyond and giving you X amount of Platinum Passes as opposed to just the one. So that's kudos to them.
Yeah,
they
went from 1 to I think 11 the first year, and they were planning on going to. I think we were going to do at least 16 this for PSPC 2.
Yeah, of
Was
course.
the plan. Is what we're looking at different stops. We were looking at all this stuff when all this came out,
Yeah.
and but yeah, no, it's been a great support, and you know, it is nice. I go out there and I played 16 events. I think I cashed in 11 and made like 4 or 5 final tables. I won 2 of them. So I can't get the pass, so I would just win like the 16,000 first place prize money. Um, but it's pretty good to go in and clean up on your own tournament a little bit.
Sure. I mean, you say you travel all over to all these events. You've been here in Edinburgh. I've met you here in Edinburgh. You've done all the EPTs. Do you have a favourite spot, not just in Europe, but all over the world that you when the schedule
Yeah,
comes out, you go, I want to go there, definitely?
yeah, Edinburgh.
You go,
No, it was raining. It was raining there the whole time. Uh, it was nice, but it was raining, and they made me eat haggis there, and
uh-huh.
that made me never want to go back. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm not a haggis fan. I'll be the first to admit. Um, to be perfectly honest, poker's kind of poker. It doesn't really matter where I go. It's meeting new people and having a
Mhm.
good time. But once I'm done with the tournament, I mean, I like the amenities like the Bahamas, for example. You go out
Sure.
and you have the ride, you have all the slides and all that good stuff. So, I mean, if I had to actually pick a place to go, although I don't know if I want to go back there because I've been so many times, it would be the Bahamas.
Bahamas, yeah.
Um, but I've been there 15, 16 times with poker, and then probably another dozen times before that with family. So
Family, right.
I've done that enough that I wouldn't want to go back there again. Um, if I had a choice of just basically anywhere I would want to go now, I'd probably say like maybe Australia, um, China, Asia. I want to go to India.
Uh-huh. Of
I love going to places that I haven't been before,
course, yeah.
and India is an emerging market in poker. It's growing really quick. China is doing the same. I've been to China a few times to play. I'd like to go back and play there again. And I would like to go into India and play. I think that's my next stop if we ever get back to being able to travel.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
anybody lets Americans back in countries again, I want to go to India. I think that would be a really fun, I love going into emerging markets. Like I went to Brazil when it was first starting to take
Yeah.
off, and it was just so much fun. I remember I was in, I think it was Croatia. We played in like a mall and then when we played in the garage, it was, you know, it was so fun playing in these emerging, growing markets that are just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think India would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, moving on with this, different stops is always great, but the fact that we've been in lockdown or quarantine, as it were, you've been keeping yourself busy. I know you've been doing the stadium series with the commentary with Joe. How's that been helping? Has that been helping your game improving, watching others?
I'll be series about I did the same series about an hour, 2 hours each week.
Mhm.
So, and during that, it was mostly hanging out with Joe and James and just talking and having a good time. Um, I wouldn't say that's where I really learned anything about poker. It was just a social
Yeah,
break, if you were, and which is definitely needed. But it was fun to watch the new evolution of poker and how it's televised with the cards up coverage. I mean,
yeah,
that was really cool. But I'll say, if anything, that's really good for me for social and to not to so much improve my game, but to do the social aspect of it and learn is this thing right here. This is my virtual headset, and I get on Pokerstars VR and I'll play that several times a week.
hmm,
And I've made a lot of friends through that. It's weird how you can talk to them and you feel like you're in the same room with
yeah,
them. So you can have home games with your friends and be on the same table and interacting. I mean, it just sounds like, we're talking like this,
yeah,
and you can tell who's talking to you. It's really cool technology. And it's been kind of a lifesaver for me as far as getting my poker fix in and being able to play. So I've got that. And then the home games on PokerStars, we have a weekly home game, which we have tonight, with a couple celebrities and a couple pros that we just get together on Zoom. we'll get in the home game and we'll just talk and hang out for the evening and play a small home poker tournament together, which is really cool. And every week we do that, and Joe kind of entertains us with his
yes,
weird humor, and I live just to try to bust him. That's really all I want to do during the tournament. I don't care about anything else other than just trying to bust Joe. So I seek him out. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's ways that I'm staying active socially, in that realm. But at the end of the day, nothing really replaces the feeling of playing for real money and playing for bigger stakes. So I'm looking forward to being able to get back on Pokerstars and actually playing online poker, like for real money.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking to play a real poker hand, like touching chips and cards. And I don't even know if I'll be able to riffle cards anymore or chips anymore. I mean, it's been so long since I've riffled. Like my wrist is like healthy now. You do this all the time, you get carpal tunnel. I mean, my wrist, I used to have just, probably going to sleep just doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could riffle chips anymore. It's been 6 months since I've tried.
I've not seen a deck of cards for 6 months either, and it's like I think.
Yeah, do you know how to riffle real fast?
I don't know. That's what I mean. I'm going to have to go.
Riffle?
I'm going to have to watch another video, like a training site, like you've been doing yourself, to try and improve it and find out actually, do I deal to the button first, or is it the small? What is a small blind? And it's just, it has been really, really hectic and hard trying to keep the old grey matter ticking over. Moving forward, if we ever get out of this soon, whoever's listening, come on. What is next for Chris Moneymaker? I know you like watching the old UFC. You like the old fantasy drafts. What's next for yourself?
I mean, ideally, I would like to get out and have a PSPC going, start Moneymaker Tour back up, start giving away passes to that. I mean, that's, my agenda is to do that. I was in the process of opening a poker room in Texas, a legal poker social club in Texas. So that's something I would like to continue to explore. For anything, it's just going to be about getting out and traveling and doing what I do and being able to earn money and support the family and, be productive and not saying that I'm not being productive here, but I mean, honestly, the majority of the day I'm sitting around doing not a whole hell of a lot. I mean, I do I've been studying a lot of different, ICM spots and trying to deep dive into, I'm using a couple different tools. I'm using the DTO solver and I'm a member of several different training sites. So, I mean, I'm trying to get better in 3 and 4 bet spots and, figuring out, all these things, but it's kind of hard in a vacuum to watch these things and not be able to go out and apply them. That was what's so great about online poker is you could go out and try to apply these things and see and play with them and see how they work. And really the only way I have to do that now is to play in the home game every week. Because even on the virtual reality, which the virtual reality is awesome, but the problem is they don't have tournaments yet. It's only cash games. They have sit and goes now. They have sit and goes, they have spin and goes, and they have cash games. MTTs supposedly is on the way, and once they get MTTs, I'm definitely going to be going on there and trying to hone these new moves. And again, it's not that I don't know how to play poker, obviously, but you have to be improving. I mean, to stay relative and stay current, you got to always be improving. So I'm always trying to look for, I mean, really, I guess who's sun running and who's running hot, and I'll sign up for their, like Fedor Holtz. I'm a member at Poker Code because he's sun run for so long, and I want to know. I want to know the secret. No, but it's good to get different perspectives and different ranges and different reasons why people are doing things. So I've been, over the last couple of years, I've been a member at probably 5 or 6 different training sites and try to piece together what works for me and try to develop my game that way.
So advice for up and coming players is basically get your head down, keep your eyes open, and stick in.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to learn how to play poker in today's environment, you need to work as hard off the table as you do on. You need to have a really strong mental game, which can be difficult, but it's imperative that you're strong mentally. And again, you have to learn. Every time you have a losing session, you need to go back and review what you did wrong, what you could have done different. And even when you have a winning session, it's actually easier to review winning sessions because you go back and enjoy
Yeah.
the wins. But you need to go through and, could I have won more money? Could I have done something different? Did I play a hand wrong? Find 3 or 4 pivotal hands and get with a good group of guys like, any community has that's a trading site. Post your hands and get feedback. It's amazing how you'll post a hand that seems pretty obvious and you'll get these top-notch pros that will just shred it apart and say, you should have done this, or this. Everybody have different opinions. Maybe there's no one right way. Maybe you played it right. I don't, there's no definite answer, but it's amazing how many different lines and how many different ways people attack 2 cards.
Yeah.
And so, that having that kind of interaction with people is how you learn how to play poker.
Yeah, cool. Well, Chris, I won't take up any more of your time. It has been an absolute blast. We've flown through this interview. Love to the family. I hope your little girl gets better soon. And you take care of yourself. And I hope to see you over the felt sooner rather than later.
Yeah, me too. Good talking to you, Ross. Thanks for everything, man. Hope the podcast does really well.
Thanks, buddy.